Hi everyone, I think I'm live. Welcome to another one of my LinkedIn live events. Today's topic is going to be how to overcome a victim mindset. And if you are someone who's attending a live event for the very first time, how does this go? Is that I explain the topic at hand in depth. And in the end, you can ask me as many questions as you want. And even in the middle, I do tend to check my phone for questions. So before we start, I'm just going to quickly check whether my audio and video is working fine. I think it is, but I'm still just gonna check it once. And before I even go there, just want to let you know that I am doing free audio coaching inside my communities called the Safe Space as well as Healing Childhood Trauma. So if you are someone who's actually interested in getting your brain expanded every single day, you're very welcome to join my free communities. You can find the link to them on my profile as well as if you go to the featured section of my profile, you'll find all of it there, as well as if you're someone who's interested in doing deep trauma work and you want to understand trauma and its impact on your relationship, your career, your money growth, as well as your personal confidence. We also have a 4-day healing childhood trauma boot camp, which is now available as a 4-day recorded class for free, again inside the community called the Healing Childhood Trauma. So you can just join it and you can get your training right there. Okay, so I'll just see if we are live. I think we are. Okay, we are. Great. So, before we go into overcoming the victim mindset, let's first understand what does the victim mindset really mean. So, a victim mindset is basically a mindset, a set of thoughts and feelings you have about yourself, in general, about life, where you believe that life is happening to you, right? As a person who has a victim mindset, that you believe that you actually do not have any control over what is happening to your life. Anytime something is happening, you feel like if something good is happening, you may take credit for that. But if at all something unpleasant is happening, something that is happening that is not going your way, you're very quick to say that, oh, this is the reason it is happening, or god is the reason, destiny is the reason, my luck is just really horrible, my boss is horrible, the economy is horrible. So you feel that life is happening to you. If for example you lost your job, you would not be someone who would think logically that, okay, this is the reason I may have lost my job, or this is what I could have done, this is what I would like to do. Your first reaction would be blaming someone or something, that economy is bad, or my boss is horrible, or people are just like this, people don't value good talent, or people these days don't have any ethics or stuff like that, right? So very quick to put the blame on someone else, and believing that I actually do not have any control over my life. So here you are basically on the passenger seat of your life. So if your life is a car, instead of being in the driver's seat and actually driving, where your life will go, left, right, wherever it is going, instead of that, you sit on the passenger seat and you sit like this, that, okay, life is happening to me, let's see where life is taking me. And as a result of this, what tends to happen is that you are completely dependent on things like luck, fate, destiny. You're very quick to say that, oh, it was written in the stars, that's why it happened, right? So you genuinely believe and feel that you have zero control over your life, and you also do not try to take active action towards creating your life. So at any point of time, there are two types of life we live. Okay, one is an active life, a life that we create every single day, a life where we wake up every single day and ask ourselves that, this is what I want for today, this is what I want to create in my life. But when you are living a passive life, you believe that you don't really have any control, or you are simply a spectator of your life, like things are just happening and you're just sitting, you're seeing that, okay, let's see what's happening. And that is why people who live a passive life, very highly depend on things like luck, destiny, and serendipity. They believe that if something is supposed to happen, it will just happen in their life, that some the stars will align one day. And it could be for anything, it could be for your relationship, it could be for your career. They don't actually actively create something in their life, right? So as a result, victim mindset is also very prevalent in passive people, people who tend to simply watch what is happening. They watch their life unfold. If they're seeing that, okay, my relationship is not going great, they will just assume that, okay, one day things will get better. Or if they believe that, what, my career is not going in a desired direction, instead of actively doing something about it, They will just sit and wait that okay, someday something will happen, someone will come rescue me, or someday stars will align and something will happen, right? So a victim mentality is that. A victim mentality is you believing that life is happening to me, right? So I want to discuss a few signs that can tell you a little bit more about that if you may have a victim mentality. Now, before I discuss this, I just want to say this as a disclaimer that nobody chooses to have this mentality. Okay, nobody chooses to have a victim mentality. There is a deeper reason why you may have that if you have that, right? So maybe whoever is watching this video right now, maybe you're watching it as a live event, or maybe you're watching it as a recording later on LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you are. There is a reason you're watching it, right? Maybe you are someone who believes that I have a victim mentality. I tend to blame other people or do not take responsibility of my life. Or maybe you know someone who has this victim mentality, and that's why I wanted to know that the live events that I do for you guys, it's for you to understand your issues deeper. And that is why you will often see that my live events are not short, they're long, and I discuss in-depth issues, because I don't want you to have a very black and white perspective of your issues. There is a reason you are the way you are, right? So in my live events, my job is to help you educate about it. And that is why even today we are going to see that how does the victim mentality actually come about. Because as a coach, when I coach people around their anxiety, their confidence, even their trauma, victim mentality is something that I've actually helped my clients come out of. So I'm telling you from first hand experience that first, it is not that it is not solvable, it is very solvable when you're doing trauma informed coaching with the right coach. Second, there is a reason behind it, right? So today is that day where we understand the reason behind victim mentality. Why are you someone who actually has this? Because again, nobody is actively choosing it, right? There is a reason you have this as a default system in your body, in your brain. So we want to do that. We want to educate ourselves, and we're not playing blame games here. We're not going to blame you. We're not going to blame anyone. We're simply going to educate ourselves and arrive to an informed conclusion. Okay. So, as I was saying that I want to discuss a few signs. So, the very first sign of having a victim mentality is that you feel helpless a lot. You feel that you can't help yourself, or if you're stuck in a situation which is, less than ideal, or a situation which is unpleasant for you, not exactly something you want, your first instinct is to feel helpless. Your first thought is, I don't know what to do, or I can't do anything here, or I'm just, I am the victim of the circumstance and I have zero control. So your first feeling, your first thought, your first feeling is helplessness, and your first thought is, I can't do anything about it. And as a result of this feeling of helplessness also intensifies. It may go into you feeling anxious, feeling extremely sad and depressed, feeling like life is very unfair, everyone is very unfair, the world is unfair, I am the only one who's suffering, right? So that is why people who tend to feel helpless a lot always have this sense of loneliness, this sense of darkness, where they constantly feel that I can't do anything about my life, right? So when you feel helpless, and this helpless can be felt in multiple different areas, right? Maybe you're feeling helpless in your relationship, but you're active in your career. Maybe you are someone who feels helpless in your career, but you are active in your relationships. Maybe you feel helpless in, in your relationship with your parents, but you feel active in your career and in your relationships, romantic relationships. So there could be multiple different areas of your life where you feel helpless, and there could also be areas where you feel active but you feel helpless somewhere else. And the reason why you may have this dichotomy, the reason why you may display different behaviors in different areas of your life, is because of suppressed trauma, is because of childhood trauma that you have not healed yet. So I'll talk about it more, but I want you to understand that it is very possible that you may feel active in certain areas of your life and you may feel completely helpless in some. And it is also possible that you may feel completely helpless in all areas of your life, right? And the answer to all of this is healing childhood trauma. And that is why when I'm working with my clients one on one, the very first thing we tend to focus on is look at their past and see what is the trauma that they have been carrying. Because that childhood trauma that you face growing up tends to shape up your personality. When you think that why is my default system like this? Why is, my default system always feeling that I'm helpless? So that default system, right, that tends to cause the most amount of suffering to us is the result of childhood trauma. So that is why when we are doing trauma work inside my one-on-one sessions, what we're doing is we are modifying that default system for it to become a system that you actually like and love, right? Now, the second sign is feeling powerless. Here, you tend to feel small very easily. You tend to feel that I am, smaller than other people. I am less talented than other people, or maybe, I'm just small as a person. I'm not smart enough, or maybe I'm not rich enough, or I'm not popular enough. Basically, this feeling of powerlessness comes very quickly. For example, if there is someone who is, let's say, at a position you may want, or is making the amount of money you may want, your first feeling, instead of, you know let's say, a person who does not have a victim mentality, or who has a growth mindset, may get inspired, or they may think that, oh, I'm curious, how did this person get it, or it would be so nice to talk to this person, or I would really like to know the backstory. Instead of this, your first instinct would be, oh my god, I'm so small, or I'm nowhere close to this person. What is this person thinking of me? And here, this powerlessness may go to two places. One is, you may completely internalize it. You may feel very dejected, very depressed, very sad about yourself. You will go into a shell. You don't want to talk to people, and that sadness is visible on your face. Another is, you may start hating on the other person. You may feel that, oh, you know what, this person must have done something unethical to get where they are, or life is just unfair to me, or this person is, born in a privileged home, that's why they have this. So basically, what is happening in both the cases? Not taking responsibility of your feelings, not actually being someone who wants to create something, but only someone who wants to blame it on someone, right? Because in that moment, when someone who has something that is, uh, something you want, that feeling, right, that evidence that this is someone who has what I want, brings up a picture of you, right? It makes you come face to face with your fears and your desires. And when you choose your fear is when you have a victim mentality, but when you choose your desire is when you have a growth mindset, right? That is why whenever you are, just feeling jealous of everyone and anyone, you're seeing people around you and you feel like, oh my god, this person has this person has that, and stuff like that. It means that you're not fully secure in who you are as a person. So you tend to give away your power very easily, right? If someone, let's say, comes and talks to you confidently and you are underconfident, you will easily give away your power to this person. If someone is more assertive than you, someone who's in a leadership position, you will instantly feel a sense of powerlessness. You will feel small, that, oh my god, I'm nothing in front of this person, or I have zero control here. This person will decide my future, this person will decide what I'm worth or what I'm not worth. And this can happen in relationships as well. You may display this helplessness or powerlessness in front of your partner as well, where you feel that my partner decides how the relationship is going to go, or my partner is going to decide what is the future of a relationship, and I have no control whatsoever. You may also feel this in front of your parents, where you feel that, I have no voice whatsoever in front of mom and dad, or whatever mom and dad say, that's it, that's the only thing in my life that I have to do. So powerlessness can be felt in different areas of your life. So as I said, that there is a dichotomy here, right? Wherein you may feel powerless in some situations, you may not feel powerless in other situations. So based on your childhood history. And that is why even in the clarity call that I have, the initial coaching session I have before I actually work with people long term, is where we do an inner child healing session. And if the situation requires, I also do a family traumagram of you. A traumagram is basically a complete ancestral family history of you, to see what trauma you have inherited from the paternal side of your family, which is the trauma themes that have been running on your father's side, as well as your maternal family, which is what are the trauma themes that have been running on your mother's side of the family. Because you are a result of your mom and dad, right? So you have not just inherited genes from them, you've also inherited their gifts as well as their trauma. And that is why you need to understand that it is very possible that you may experience different sets of emotions among different people, right? So here things are not black and white, there's a lot of gray involved, right? Now the next sign is blaming. So as I said, that people who have a victim mentality do not take responsibility of their life, right? They find it very easy to blame other people. So for example, if the relationships are not going right, instead of actually seeing, how am I creating the problem in the relationship, what am I doing in the relationship, who am I being in the relationship, what are the things that I'm doing, they're very quick to blame the other person. This person is like this, my partner is like this, my partner has done this, my partner does not understand me, my partner is not kind enough, my partner is not understanding enough. When in reality, when they look at themselves, they find that they themselves are not bringing that to the table. They themselves are not initiating that. They just expect that the other person should be this model behavior, and they should be driving the relationship, and they should be perfect in all aspects. So what is here again? Instead of taking responsibility of what they are doing, they are very quick to blame the other person. And that is why people who have a victim mentality tend to feel stuck a lot in life. Because understand, who feels stuck in life? A person who cannot see solutions. And when do you not see solutions? When you believe that you are perfect, when you have no problem whatsoever, everything is someone else's problem or something else's problem, right? So, for example, if you're working, if a person who has a victim mentality is working in a job, and let's say they are not happy with the job, instead of seeing that, okay, why am I doing this job, or what is it that I need from this company, or what are the opportunities this company is giving me, why is it that my boss might be aggressive to me, what am I doing, instead of seeing all of that, they will be very quick to see this company is exploiting me, my boss is a jerk, and my colleagues are assholes, and again, right, a lot of blame game, a lot of simply putting other people in this what do you call it, I can't recall the name. What do you say when you are in this court, and you're just accusing someone, like putting someone on a stand and just accusing them? That's what people with the victim mentality do. And they blame and blame and blame. And what happens when you blame? You don't take responsibility. And what happens when you don't take responsibility? You're not creating anything. You willingly want to sit in the driver's seat, and you want the other person to do everything for you. You want the other person to initiate things for you. You want the other person to tell you that yes, things are going great. You want the other person to drive your life, because you're so used to being passive. You're so used to not taking control. You're so used to feeling helpless and powerless and blaming, right? Now, the next again a very prominent sign of you having a victim mentality is you feel blank a lot. Like if there is a problem in your life, you suddenly feel blank. You feel like, I just don't know what to do. You miss obvious solutions. There is an obvious solution right in front of you, and you will not be able to see it. Why? Because solutions become visible when you take responsibility of your problem. So let's take an example, okay? Let's say that you are someone who's having problem with your partner, okay? Now you say that my partner does not understand me, and he is like this, he is like that, and stuff like that. The obvious thing when it comes to a relationship is, are you actually communicating honestly? When you say that your partner does not understand you, are you actually trying to understand your partner first? Second, are you actually trying to communicate to your partner about what you think and feel? So what is this? A very obvious solution, right? But you may not be able to see it. Why? Because you believe that you are being wronged. If I am saying that, what, I don't have a good relationship with my partner, and my partner does not understand me, my partner does this, my partner does that, but when I really look at myself, I see in factual, right, we're looking at factual information, I will find that I have not actually communicated my feelings and thoughts to my partner. I expect this person to read my mind and understand everything, and I myself am not understanding of my own partner. I am not willing to see that my partner is actually different from me. My partner is not an exact copy of me. So what will I do? I will just blame. I will put my partner in this bad light, that my partner is like this, my partner is like that, instead of actually seeing and taking responsibility, that what am I doing, who am I being, am I even trying the obvious solutions? Because one thing I'll tell you, something that I've seen repeatedly in my coaching conversations as well, is that a lot of your problems have very obvious solutions, truly very obvious solutions. The reason you don't see those solutions is because you're so stuck in that victim mentality. You're so stuck in putting that responsibility onto someone else, that you can't see the obvious solutions to your problems. And second, even if you may have obvious solutions, you may not actually apply it. Because why? You're so used to being passive. You're so used to inaction that taking action feels unnatural, right? So this is also a very big sign where you feel blank a lot. You feel lost. You feel like, I don't know how to move forward. You feel like, this is a problem and that's it. I can't do anything about it. I feel so stuck, I feel so trapped. So the feeling of trapped is also a very prominent feeling, and we're going to discuss why you may feel that in like the next 2 minutes. But feeling trapped is also a dominant emotion in people who tend to have victim mentality, right? Okay, so before moving forward, I'm just going to quickly see if there are any questions so far, or let's hope to God that my internet is working fine. Okay, so we're doing fine, so that's great. Now, coming to the next part, which is very important, that how does a victim mentality actually develop? Why is it that some people have a creator mindset where they are very proactive in their life, where they are very solution oriented, and why are some people very problem oriented, like they always look at problems and they don't actually look at solutions? Or why do they feel trapped so much? So the very first reason why people have victim mentality is the experiences they have gone through in their childhood. Now, you have to understand this critically, okay? When a person has a victim mentality, their first feeling is what? Feeling helpless and powerless, right? Now, when you have as a child gone through experiences where you had no control, okay, where you had no control over your situation, where you had no control over what was happening to you, and you were at the receiving end of those bad consequences. So for example, divorce between your parents. When a child is seeing his parents or her parents fight all the time, or getting divorced, getting separated, the child is at the receiving end of the negative consequence, right? The child is feeling shattered. You are feeling, as you as a child are feeling shattered. You as a child are feeling that, oh my god, why is this happening? I want my mom and dad to be together, right? But you have no control over it. Why? Because you're a child. And as I've mentioned before as well, when I've spoken about childhood trauma, is that whatever you experience as a child, you absorb like a sponge. Because a child's nervous system is developing, right? Your default mechanism that you have as an adult is developing in as a child. So you absorb everything in your body. And what do you learn here? What does your body learn? That I have no control over the bad things that are happening in my life. I can just sit and maybe cry, maybe feel bad about it, and no matter how much I pray and no matter how much I do, I have no control over this. That's one example. Another is, let's say, bullying. Okay, when you go through bullying as a child, again, what is happening when you're getting bullied? You have no control over what is happening to you. You are at the receiving end of the negative consequence, right? You're feeling the negative consequence, but you actually have no control over it. Whoever is bullying you, maybe your classmates, maybe your own parents, maybe your own sibling, maybe someone in your family, whoever it is, when that event is happening to you, it's extremely painful, very traumatizing, but you can't do anything about it. So what may happen there is you may start disassociating yourself, because again, a lot of people who have victim mentality disassociate. They zone out. They start distracting themselves. They may have coping mechanisms like binge eating, binge watching something, completely tuning out the present environment, getting zoned out, going into the daydreaming land. So, why is a person doing this? Because as a child, that's what they had to do to cope with the situation that they had no control over. And because trauma does not heal itself unless and until you're actively healing it, because this person has not gone through childhood trauma healing with a coach, what tends to happen? They carry that coping mechanism in the future as well. And when something unideal is happening, they will go back to that coping mechanism. So, for example, let's say if they were used to always, uh, shutting off, like whenever they would see fights happening in their family or fights happening between their parents, they would shut themselves off. Like they would either go into the daydreaming land, or they will just stop talking to everyone. They will just go into the shell. Even today, when a fight may happen with their partner, or a difficult situation is happening in their work, they will go into the shell again. They will feel like, I have no control over this situation, let me go back to my shell. Similarly, you could have other coping mechanisms like binge eating, binge watching, or self sabotaging, other different types of coping mechanisms. But you will do the same thing. Why? Because an unhealed inner child comes out every single time anything traumatic is happening, because that child is still unhealed. And that is why, even though logically you may know that this is not the ideal response that I want to give, or that, when a conflict is happening, I want to be assertive, I want to talk about myself, I want to take a stand for myself, you may not actually do it, because that trauma response is so strong, right? And that is why logical explanations do not work when it comes to unhealed childhood trauma. Another example could be, let's say, death of a loved one, right? So, for example, if you've experienced death of a loved one growing up, could be your mother, could be your father, could be a grandparent you were very close to, a friend that you were very close to, anyone. So, death is something that you have no control over, right? That's a very big traumatic incident that happens in a child's life. So, what does a child feel here as well? That something very horrible has happened to me, and I have no control over it, no matter what I do. So, as an adult as well, whenever something bad is about to happen, you may go back to that coping mechanism and you may feel that I have no control. I cannot do anything about the situation. Similarly, very traumatic incidents like assault of any kind, be it physical assault, sexual assault, or emotional abuse. When you go through a lot of emotional abuse growing up, maybe in the house, from your parents, from your siblings, or maybe outside your house, anywhere. All of these situations that are very traumatic to a child makes the child feel that I have no control, and this child grows up to become a very fearful adult who gets afraid very easily and who gives up his power and control very easily, because the child, that unhealed inner child, is still there, and that child is what is driving that adult's life, and that's why this adult keeps on making illogical decisions. And that is why unhealed trauma will always be stronger than your logic, because you have to understand trauma lives in your body, right? And what your body stores in terms of the trauma responses and how you feel and how you react will always trump over simple logical thinking. This is why when I'm doing trauma healing with my clients, when they're releasing trauma from their body, they feel that they're releasing something extremely heavy. Like when we're doing those sessions, because they're so intense, they genuinely feel the weight of all of these emotions. And when we release it, they feel like they're able to sleep better, breathe better. Literally, I've had clients who have told me that, Rianshi, I feel like I have not like taken breaths in a very long time. Like I've started to breathe better, because the amount of burden you have with unhealed trauma is very, very high, right? The sense of heaviness is very high in the body. Okay. The second reason is learned helplessness. Now, what is learned helplessness? Now, the feeling of helplessness ideally should only come to you when you are actually in a situation that you have zero control over. For example, let's say I'm sitting in front of you right now and I'm doing this live event with you. The internet goes off, okay, because it's raining. Do I have any control over over this situation? The answer is no. I do not have any control over the situation. But what do I have control over is how do I handle the situation. So, because I'm not someone who has a victim mindset, I may say that, what, even if something like this happens, I will simply inform to the attendees that, what, I may do this live event for you once again, and you can join me once again tomorrow. And learned helplessness would be, for example, let's say that I have been, I have gotten laid off, okay, from a job. I'm doing a job and I've gotten laid off. And I feel helpless about it. I feel like, oh my God, there is nothing I can do. I'm in a very horrible situation. But in reality, that's not true. Me getting laid off is a circumstance. Me choosing to feel helpless and powerless about it is a choice I'm making. There are multiple things I can do. So, learned helplessness is when you choose to feel helpless even when you are not. So, for example, if I'm sitting here and there's an earthquake, I don't have any control over it. That is when feeling helpless is actually a very valid feeling. But let's say I am sitting here and I am feeling helpless about, is someone listening to me or not? Is someone is my live event making sense to people or not? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? I have no control over this situation. Let me just shut off my live event. Let me never come back on camera again. What is that? That's learned helplessness, where I choose to feel helpless about a situation wherein, there are multiple solutions to the problem. And learned helplessness comes from the beliefs that you have had that were instilled in your childhood. So when you've grown up with parents who used to do this a lot, who used to feel helpless about the situation a lot. For example, you grew up with parents who would always say that, oh, everything is, up to God, we can't do anything. Or, if there is, let's say, financial difficulties at home, instead of talking about it logically, your parents would say that, oh, it's up to God, it's up to destiny. Or, our luck is so bad, our destiny is so bad. Or, we were wronged by our relatives, we were wronged by this person, that person, that person. So what are your parents doing? Your parents are instilling this belief in you that in reality, whatever bad is happening to you, it's not your fault. Everything is a result of something bigger. So what is that? That's learned helplessness that is being instilled by your parents into you. And kids are like clay. Okay, as a child, you were like clay. Whatever you were shaped into, you started solidifying like that. So learned helplessness is also a result of the beliefs you have learned in your childhood. When you've been constantly told that you have no control over your situation. So, for example, let's say that you saw toxic marriage between you and your mom, between you and your dad, right? Sorry, between your mom and dad. You saw a toxic marriage between your parents, and your mom would always say that there is nothing I can do. Once you get married, you can do nothing, and you have to be at the receiving end of, if it is financial abuse, emotional abuse, or whatever, and that a woman cannot do anything once she has gotten married. So you may repeat the same destiny as your mother. When you get married, and if things are not going right, instead of talking about it, which is the obvious solution, right? For example, some people say, right, that why is this person not walking out of a toxic marriage? It's because the person has learned helplessness, right? So you may do the same thing in your marriage. You may think that you can't do anything once you've gotten married, that's it. So even if you are suffering somewhere, you will not do anything about it because you have learned that that is it. Once you've gotten married, there is no solution. A lot of people feel that about their careers also. They feel that, oh, I have been doing my job for 5 years, I can't switch my career. I can't do a business. I can't change anything. That's it. Now it's done. What is that? That's learned helplessness through the beliefs you have learned. And these beliefs could have been learned from anywhere. Most prominent is your childhood through your parents. Others are, maybe there is a significant mentor or a guide you had early on in your life who instilled wrong beliefs in you. Or there was, you picked up beliefs from your friends, from your cousins, or from your extended family members and stuff like that. So learned helplessness is a result of you believing that you are helpless, when in reality there are obvious solutions to your problem, right? Now, the next one is absorbing your parents' feelings. So, this is actually a very big trauma theme in the work that we do, wherein, as kids, actually, you have the ability to absorb your parents' feelings. You have the ability to absorb everything mom and dad are feeling, right? So, when your mom and dad were people or are people who always chose to feel helpless and powerless about the situation. So, for example, let's say your mom and dad have lent some money to some relatives, right? And now you tell them that just don't do it, like don't lend it the next time, or you can ask them back, and they will tell you, oh, no, no, we can't do that. They will complain that our money is gone, but they will not do anything about it. So, and they constantly complain and complain and complain. So, what is happening here? You're absorbing your mom and dad's emotions of helplessness and powerlessness. And this may result into a lot of anger also in you. You may develop a lot of anger towards your parents, towards the world also. But the feeling of helplessness will become very, very strong. In future also, you may see this feeling come up again and again because you've absorbed everything from your mom and dad. Because they don't want to take any action, because again they may have their own unhealed trauma, they pass down that trauma onto you. You end up absorbing it and you take it into your life, right? So whatever your mom and dad have felt, you have the power to feel it, because as kids you are like a sponge, you absorb everything. So whatever your mom and dad felt helpless and powerless about, and they keep on complaining about it, they keep on suffering, but they will do nothing, you absorb it. And that feeling of helplessness and powerlessness may turn into a lot of anger and resentment, again affecting you, or it may make your feeling of feeling like a victim very strong. Even when you're angry, you're still feeling like a victim. That is, the feeling of victimness is present, but it may either lead you to become very passive, that I have no control, or you may become very aggressive. But in both the situations, you do feel that, I'm being wronged and I can't do anything about it, right? And the next one is when you have a bias for negative thinking. So when you are someone whose default setting is always thinking of the worst case scenario. Whatever you're doing, the first question you have is, what's the worst thing that will happen? So when you have a tendency like that, every single time you think in multiple ways how you could be a victim. So what is this? A bias for victimhood, a bias for negative thinking. And again, I've made a very big event on this as well. I've done a live event on overcoming consistent negative thinking. So please watch that if you want, if you're interested in that. But this is also a result of suppressed trauma. Like, the reason you feel or think so negatively is because you feel very deeply unsafe, emotionally unsafe, right? So when you have a bias for negative thinking, you're constantly thinking of situations, imaginary situations in your head where you could be a victim. So as a result, you don't take risks in life. You don't actually take steps towards the life that you want, which is again, what does it do? It reconfirms you sitting on the passenger seat of your life, you being passive. You repeatedly self sabotage yourself by thinking negatively and not doing anything about anything at all, because you are very afraid, right? There's a bias for negative thinking. Now let's come to the next part, which is how do we actually overcome this victim mindset. So before that, I'm just again going to quickly check if there are any questions so far, and then we're going to start. How do I book a session? So do you see this pink line, DM coaching to book a session? So just DM me coaching and I will tell you how to book a session with me. Okay, so a couple of agreements that they relate with it. So that's good, I guess. So far, we don't actually have question relevant to the live event. So we're just going to move forward to how to actually overcome the victim mentality. Now, the very first thing you need to ask yourself is, where is my focus? Which means that when I come across a problem, where does my focus go? Where is the first place my focus is going? Is it going towards all the problems that I have, or is it going towards all the solutions that I have? Is it going towards the things that I can control, or is it going towards the things that I cannot control? So let's take an example, okay? Let's say that I decide to work out. Okay, from tomorrow, I've decided that I'm going to take my fitness very seriously, and I will lose weight and I will become fit. So is my focus on what is it that I can do, like, right, like, and I can start eating cleaner, I can start going to the gym, or if going to the gym is difficult for me, I can start doing small exercises at home. I can make sure that I'm buying less processed food and more healthy food. These are the things I have control over. But am I focusing on this, or am I focusing on, oh, you know what, I cannot lose weight, or I cannot be fit because I have this disease or that disease, I don't have time, I cannot do anything about my schedule, or before I even start my journey of fitness, I have to make sure that everything is perfect in my life, which is not perfect, which means I cannot start. Or what if it rains, it's rainy season, what if it rains, how will I go to the gym? So let me just wait until the rain stops. Or it has been so long, I have not really lost weight, do I really want to do that? Or you know what, I want to join an MMA class which is 20 kilometers away from my place, so let me see how I can go there. Oh wait, I can't go because I have full-time job, so I will not do that. What am I doing here? I am making up fake excuses to justify my inaction, right? I am constantly focused on things I don't have control over. If I am an employee, right, if I am doing a job, it's obvious that I have a job, I have to work 8 to 9 hours a day. It's obvious that it's going to be rainy season for the next 3 months. It's obvious that I cannot go travel 20 kilometers, go and come back to an MMA class. So what am I doing? I'm constantly focusing on things I have no control over instead of focusing on the things I do have control over, which is eating cleaner, simply buying groceries that are healthier, simply taking, let's say, 15 to 20,000 steps on my terrace, which is like just about. So ask yourself right now, whatever problem I'm facing, be it a relationship problem or a career problem or my personal health or whatever it is, where is my focus? What am I focused on? Am I focused on everything negative that could go wrong? Am I focused on things that I don't have control over, or am I focused on things I actually do have control over? So for example, since I am coming up with a life coach training and monetization program which is starting this 20th of July, where aspiring coaches are working under me to get trained and actually start their own coaching business. So one of the things that recently an aspiring coach asked me was, Rianshi, how will I get clients, and how will I do this, how will I do that? And I asked them first that, have you actually even completed your coach training and education? Have you actually learned business skills? Their answer was no. So this is a classic sign of someone who will come up with things, hypothetical situations where they can feel like a victim instead of actually taking action towards the things that they do have control over. Right? So see, where is your focus? Now, the second question I want you to ask yourself is that if I can make this situation 20 to 30% better, what can I do? Now, again, a very classic sign of someone who has a victim mentality is that they wait for the perfect moment in their life. They believe that there will once come a time, right, a magical time where everything will be perfect, right? They tend to forget that they're fully functioning adults, and not, there will never be a time where everything will be perfect. Never. Like, I can guarantee you, there will never be a time like that, because you're a fully functioning adult living in a capitalistic system, who's handling social obligations, relationships, career, and everything. So there will always be something that is not right. But people who have a victim mentality, because they have a bias for inaction, right, they don't want to take action, they wait for support for a perfect moment, when in reality someone who actually goes very far in life is someone who always asks themselves, what can I do? So ask, if I can change 20 to 30%, if I can improve my situation by 20 to 30%, what would I do? So for example, again, let's say that I want to take my fitness seriously, right? I want to lose weight. Now, what is the 100%? Everything is ideal. I'm waking up at 6 a.m. I'm going to the gym. I'm eating clean. I am, exercising every single day. I'm very focused. That's a 100% ideal situation. But what is my reality right now? My reality is that I'm not eating clean at all. I am waking up at 9, 10 a.m. every day. I am, not someone who's used to regular exercise, and that's why my stamina is very low. So, what is something I can do that can improve my situation 20 to 30%? Maybe instead of directly joining a gym, I can start walking every single day for 30 minutes. That is very doable for me. Instead of eating desserts, maybe I can, satisfy my sweet craving with a fruit. Maybe instead of eating processed food, I can stop buying processed food and I just bring in organic food. What are these things? These things improve my situation by 30%. And when I keep doing this, what am I really doing? Is I'm making my body ready for a bigger change by bringing about a smaller change. So, this is an actionable growth mindset where you are not obsessed with perfection, you are focused on action. So, start asking that if I could just improve 20 to 30% of my situation, what would I do? Now, the next question I want you to ask yourself is, how did I create the situation? Wherever I'm stuck right now, how did I create it? What is the role I have played? And I want you to really ask this question. If it is not registering, if right now you're listening to this and your instant answer is, oh, I have not done anything, then you're not listening to me properly. Listen to me properly. Ask yourself, how have I created this situation? And ask yourself 100 times until it actually registers in your brain. If I'm unfit right now, okay, and I ask myself, how have I created this situation? If I am very stuck in my victim mentality, my first answer will be a defense mechanism answer. No, I have not done anything. Life is busy, things are like this. But when I really ask myself, how have I created this? The honest answer would be, I let go of my discipline. I started eating mindlessly. Whenever I would get bored, I would, go for binge eating instead of actually, uh, focusing my energy somewhere else. Instead of buying good food, I bought processed food. Instead of doing light cooking, I completely relied on eating outside food. So that is how I created the situation where I'm unfit. So ask yourself until it really, really sits with you. Take responsibility that what have I done? How am I creating the situation wherever I am right now? And be honest. Even if it's in your relationship and you feel that I'm being wronged, even if it's in your career, you feel I'm being wronged, ask, what have I done? What have I thought? What have I felt which has resulted into me now being in this situation? That is what the mindset of a creator is like. A mindset which is growth oriented is like, you take responsibility no matter how hard it is, no matter how hard it feels to take responsibility, right? Now, the very last thing and the most important thing without which you cannot actually come out of your victim mindset is doing childhood trauma healing. See, you have to understand that victim mentality is very deep rooted. Okay, it's not just a result of simple logic, it's very connected somatically with your body, right? It is a culmination of every single time you felt helpless and powerless in your childhood. So you need to do one-on-one childhood trauma healing. If you're actually interested in doing this deep work, you're very welcome to work with me. You can book a coaching session with me by DMing me coaching. And if you want to actually understand childhood trauma deeper, you can enroll into the free boot camp that I have. It's a 4-day recorded boot camp. The link to that is again available in the featured section of my profile on my LinkedIn. And if you can't find it, you can just DM me bootcamp and I will send you the link. And if you would like to know more about this particular topic, or if there are certain questions that you have, feel free to DM me. I also have free communities, as I mentioned in the beginning, that I'm doing free audio coaching there. So you can find my free communities and everything on my LinkedIn profile. And for today, this is it. I will be now seeing if I have any questions, relevant questions. And if not, then we will be taking a pause for today. Okay. So someone has asked, why do we keep skipping tasks we know why we should prioritize? So this is actually a topic I was going to talk about when it comes to procrastination. So this sounds like procrastination, and I will tell you 4 reasons why you procrastinate. The very first thing is the task is too complicated, right? When a task is too complicated, you will not do it because your mind is not wired to do things that feel overwhelming to you. If a task is very overwhelming, your brain will automatically try to reject it because your brain understands very simple tasks. So the first reason is that. Second is you're very afraid of the consequence. So when you are doing a task which feels very high risk to you, for example, let's say there is an important project, right? And you feel that if I do a mistake in this project, I may lose my job. So when you have made something very big in your mind, right, when the consequence feels very big to you, you feel emotionally unsafe. And I have told this multiple times before as well. You will never do something that feels unsafe to you because as a human being, your survival instinct is very strong. So when you are very afraid of the consequence, you will not do the task. Third is you actually have no interest in the task. You don't want to do the task at all. For example, let's say I'm doing this live event for you, right? Let's say I have zero interest in it. So I will push it. I know I should be doing it, but I will not do it because I have zero interest in it. So here I would actually ask you to see that why are you, what is the reason you're forcing yourself to do something? Is it really required or are you convincing yourself it is required? Fourth is misaligned goals. If you are pursuing something you have no natural interest in, not the boredom part, but no natural interest in, you will always push it. For example, let's say that I have convinced myself that I have to prepare for UPSC, right? I have no natural interest in it, right? I don't want to do it, but I think that if I do it, people will respect me more. People will think I'm so great, or that's the only way I can create impact. So I will force myself to do it. So I know I need to prioritize my education, right? Because I have taken up coaching, I'm preparing, but I will not do it. Why? Because I have zero interest in that task. Because that task is not coming from a genuine intention of me wanting to do it, but coming from a place that I have to do it because somewhere again I feel that it will result into me getting prestige or whatever, right? So these are the reasons why you may procrastinate. Again, I was planning to do an event on this as well, so you may find your answers there too. Okay, so I think it's a two-part question. So okay, so you've asked how can we overcome this, even though we believe we will get them done, we still keep lying to ourselves. So that's true. We still keep lying to ourselves because we have not done deep inner work. See, the reason why people experience a lot of growth in coaching, or why they experience accelerated growth in their coaching, is because when you're sitting with a coach, your coach will not let you buy into your own bullshit, right? Your coach will always tell you and always show you the mirror that this is why you are doing this, right? When you don't have a coach, when you're continuously spiraling into your problem, you don't have anyone to hold you accountable. You actually don't have a thinking partner who can help you see that this is what is not going right, or this is why you are doing this and the intention is not aligning with your action. So if you are someone who wants to experience accelerated growth, honestly, go work with a qualified coach, someone who can actually help you, because they will be able to hold you accountable at a level that you cannot, simply cannot, right? That's why everyone has coaches. Okay, so do we have any other question? Let's see. Okay, so I don't think we have any questions so far. I'll just still wait for one more minute. If any one of you have any questions, send it to me because I do have my phone with me and I'm checking. You can write in the comment section or you can DM, any of it is okay. Either of it is okay. Okay, so I'll wait for one more minute. Until then, I may tell you something new. So, as I have told you that I'm doing free audio coaching inside my community, is called the Safe Space Community, as well as I have, a healing childhood trauma, a WhatsApp community. Again, I'm doing audio coaching there as well. So this week, we will be talking about confidence and anxiety in your personal and professional life, and how do you deal with it? What are the different aspects of it? And I'll be sending free audio coaching every single day. So if you're actually interested in, getting your brain expanded, you may join in. I tend to have a lot of fun there, where I share and write every single day. And I often tell people that because I write every single day there, please mute the group if you don't like notifications, because I am someone like that. I do not like it. And another interesting thing that's coming up this month is my LCTM program, which is Life Coach Training and Monetization Program, wherein coaches are going to train under me. They're going to get certified, they're going to be qualified coaches, and they're going to learn how to monetize their coaching skills and actually run a business. Right. So I'm very excited about that. We already have enrollers coming in, and it's a lifetime program, which means that you receive lifetime coaching. When you get inside the program, it's not that it ends in like 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. You get access to the program for life, as well as we have support sessions every single Friday, so you get access there as well. Okay, so I'm gonna see if we have any questions so far, and then I'm gonna say a goodbye because it's been 1 hour. Okay, so somebody has just said thanks, so you're very welcome. I don't think we have any questions so far, but in case after watching this live event you feel like you have questions, or you would like to talk to me, you can DM me. And if you actually want to work with me, you can just book a coaching session with me. And if there are any other topics you would want me to talk about more, my DMs are always open, and I'm always open for recommendations, because these live events are for you guys. And the recordings of all the live events that I've done previously are available on my LinkedIn, and the recent ones are the ones I have been also been uploading on YouTube. So you can also check that out there. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. I will see you um, coming Thursday or Friday. So keep a lookout on my LinkedIn profile and you will see what topic I'm going to be talking about soon. Bye bye.